We're live? Okay. Hold on.
Bernie younger years.
And nobody was able to land it. This is not spin. This is not a spin room. I think, we can talk about whether he answered every question perfectly or who's quote unquote won the debate. But every person on that stage is gold with that.
Did you see it on your phone?
Yeah. Ceiling on him. And he did not have a bruise on that pretty face of his. All right, so all jokes aside, this is what we need to move forward for the next one.
Hey, it's Jordan. I am here in Charleston, South Carolina, here at the debate watch party for Bernie Sanders. Very, very, very energetic crowd here. Local like food court slash bar here in Charleston. People are still here. They've been eating, having some friendly cocktails. Quite the debate, quite the debate. Smash that like button. It's a thumbs up button right under the live stream. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see the live stream. There's a lot of debate post shows on. I don't know any that are with the people. We are with the people. So smash that like button. It's a super chat. So if you're feeling super, let us know. I'll get into my thoughts of the debate a little bit later. I want to start with somebody from Bernie's campaign, Wayne, who's a field organizer. I kind of feel like I've come in this weird biblical full circle because you were like one of my favorite interviews when I was at the Young Turks. We were outside the debate in 2016 in Charleston. Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, and I see a young buck out there holding a Bernie sign. And I was looking for the video. I don't remember what you said, but you said something like, when will the people finally, when will the people start to come together and something? I'm going to find that video. Okay. But now you're a field organizer for the campaign. What were your thoughts on the debate? I mean, obviously everybody was going to go against him, but I personally didn't think anyone had this fatal blow on the senator. Senator acknowledged, votes that he might have wanted back, but overall, same Bernie, and there was just a lot of desperation I saw for the candidates, but nobody really landed a major blow.
Yeah, different debate night, same burn. Bernie has continued to burn bright in every state and in every debate. And so tonight was just another example where we got to see Senator Sanders be on stage talking about exactly what is ailing the people in this country. The fact that people don't have health care, the fact that people don't have their student loans being addressed properly, and the fact that people need, just quite frankly, better resources and more opportunities. And so I was very glad to see that out of all the attacks that got leveled against him, we're still here and we're still poised to do very well in South Carolina, very, very well. And I'm looking forward to it.
I just got here today, and obviously, nobody knew who Bernie Sanders was in South Carolina in 2016. It's a completely different ballgame. But I think that when you look at kind of what the other candidates were trying to do, it was a lot of fear-mongering. Yeah. You know what I mean? They weren't really going after him per se on why universal health care and a government system is bad. They were really focusing on Cuba and this and that. That might work with some older voters, but I think based on Nevada and some other states, do you think anybody actually said anything that would, convince Latino voters, younger black voters here, maybe some older black voters that are still kind of on the fence? What did you think about the arguments that were made against them? Because I didn't really see much that had much substance to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of surprising that some of these candidates were leveling attacks when people in the black community, people in the Latino community can't actually trust that those individuals are going to stand up for them the way Bernie Sanders has, will actually defend their civil rights the way Bernie has. So yeah, it was very interesting to me that a lot of the attacks were in some ways just like very baseless. The fact that they tried to attack the Medicare for All plan when that's not even what Pete's offering. Not to mention the fact that when he says that he's going to pay for these things by making sure that we tax the wealthy, which is a whole separate piece from taxing Wall Street transactions, because trillions of dollars, billions of dollars, at least billions of dollars, get transacted every day on the stock exchange. And if we even got mere pennies of that, which would go a lot further than even Elizabeth Warren's 2% wealth tax, would do immense good for this country. So it was, like I said, like very interesting to see. Yeah, so it would be so it was very interesting to see, these attacks get leveled, still not land, and Bernie still maintain the credibility and consistency that he's had over the entirety of his career.
So I know you're with the campaign, so there's only a certain level you could go, but I just want to make a point, and let me make sure, blah, blah, blah. So Joe Biden, we got, by the way, we have, let's see what we're at here. Already 750 people watching. Smash that like button. The more people that press the thumbs up button right under the video, the more people that will see the live stream. And also, if you're not a Status Coup member, this is how we fund In the Trenches reporting, statuscoup.com/join. So, Joe Biden, Sean King's reporting over the last few weeks, he's been lying about participating in civil rights sit-ins. For decades, he's been saying, "Oh, I was in the trenches in the civil rights movement." Okay, the last week, he's been claiming that he was arrested in South Africa on his way to meet Nelson Mandela after Nelson Mandela was released from prison. This is fiction. This is not true. There's no arrest record. The ambassador that Joe Biden claims he was arrested with says, "I was never arrested in South Africa, neither was Joe Biden." Not one journalist on stage questioned him about this. He claimed tonight, and I quote, "not true," that he wrote the crime bill. I'm not saying this is a Bernie, hey, I'm open, I like Bernie, but as a journalist, this is journalistic malpractice. How do you let somebody go on stage and exploit the black community in South Carolina and all around the country? How do you let him exploit South African apartheid? Now, if you want to be charitable, maybe he's forgetting things, maybe something's going on, but not one moderator questioned him about these lies. Now, that's what I think. Were you surprised that didn't come up?
I don't know if I'd be surprised that it didn't come up. I mean, even on MSNBC, again, not an opinion, just, you can request the video. There was a segment where he was back-to-back video was played of Biden literally saying South Carolina is going to be his firewall, and then another video played where the reporter Mike Memoli asked him, you did say this, and he denied saying that South Carolina would be his firewall. Now, I'm not saying that Biden said anything incorrect or proper. The video exists. People can watch it and make their own conclusion. But what I will say is that, and this has been said many, many, many times, one, all of these candidates are being videotaped. All these candidates are on video saying the things that they've said. As well, the black community has always been, or at least has been very consistent in its support for the Democratic candidates. Now, the black community isn't just blind to political strategy and political theory. In a large part, the black community is looking at Iowa and New Hampshire for what white people will do. And that's not going to be enough when we're trying to enact a vision of America that is bigger and farther looking than just defeating Donald Trump. Defeating Donald Trump is not enough. Making sure that we are adequately taking care for our communities is much more important than defeating Donald Trump. Making sure that our children have the opportunity to go to schools that are not falling apart or infested with mold is bigger than defeating Donald Trump. And so that is a thing that the black community in South Carolina is thinking about and in some ways is struggling with, because there are so many voters who are still undecided these few days out before the South Carolina primary with the choice of, do they go to the polls for Bernie Sanders or for Joe Biden? And a part of it is them just simply being afraid that the vision might be too big. And with all that the black community has been through, lacking vision and lacking the determination to dig in and go for the long game isn't something that I think that most black voters are willing to do. And so that's why I believe that we will have a fantastic showing on February 29th when the results start to pour in, and we do far better than any other campaign is expecting us to do.
You know, it's interesting you say that, because as a white man covering South Carolina in 2016, you know, I'm a pretty, dare I say, aggressive reporter, but I felt kind of I could only go so far, because as a white man, I understand. I don't know firsthand, but I understand why particularly older African American voters tend to be a little bit more incremental, pragmatic, because they've been lied to for 300 years. So when you hear somebody like Bernie talking about political revolutions and this broader vision, your mind and your experience isn't really. Your experience doesn't always allow you to just naturally jump into that. But as Bernie, I think, has mainstreamed some of these ideas to be less radical, you see him making inroads with the black community. Can you kind of talk about what you've been seeing, because you're a field organizer here?
Especially with younger black people, black women, younger black men. You know, I would go out into some communities in Barnwell County, in Bamberg County, and be wholly just like denied by some of the younger black people who's like, oh, well, voting, like, that doesn't mean anything to me. That doesn't make a difference in my life. And I share what Bernie's vision is for this country. I share some of his platform pieces, and I make it plain that I understand where their disaffection comes from. I don't use those exact words, but, you know, I level with people. And doing that the way Bernie does with the country, people get it. And I've registered people who are excited not only to be like finally have someone like help them with that process, but also they're ready to cast their vote for Bernie Sanders. Absentee voting in South Carolina has already begun since the end of January and ends at the end of the day on Friday. And people are already banking their votes for Bernie in South Carolina. And so, again, that gives me so much hope, so much just gratefulness to the people of this state for believing not only in this campaign, but believing in themselves and the vision that we have, not we the campaign, that we as people who are looking forward to this brighter future have in this campaign and in this candidate. So yeah.
And remember, we got over 1,000 people watching right now. For those of you who haven't, press that like button. It's a thumbs up button right under the live stream. The more people that press the like button will get the viewership up. Also, if you haven't signed on the dotted line, statuscoup.com/join. Join us for as low as $5 a month. We've been in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada. We're now in South Carolina. No money from the banks. No money from the fossil fuckers. No money from big real estate, big pharma, or Silicon Valley. Zero money from Michael Bloomberg. Zero money from the Koch brothers. We could only travel. We could only afford this as fast as we grow.
And if I may, that's the same thing that Bernie Sanders has been doing. You know that, not just in this campaign cycle, but in the last campaign cycle. And the last thing
if you guys could give me some of that juju.
Well, and then like the last thing I'll say is like we also can't forget that there's a Latino and there's an indigenous community in this state who is also looking for a champion. Who is reaching out to that community? The Bernie Sanders campaign. We look forward to working with those communities as we continue to struggle forward in obtaining the nomination of this party, and we look forward to representing their interests when not Bernie, but us, when we take the White House in November and in January 20th next year.
One more question. So something that I, personally, obviously, listen, everybody wants to win. But to me, and borrowing from Andrew Yang, like math, honestly, if Bernie Sanders comes within 2 or 3 points here, even 5 points, mathematically, Joe Biden does not really get the number of delegates he really needs to get back in this. Also, when you're coming from Bernie's position, which was, I think he started like 20 to 30 points down to Joe Biden here. To me, I mean, I'd love him to win, but how does the campaign? You don't speak for the campaign, but does the campaign? The bottom line is Bernie Sanders is not in like must win or else. He's in a great position going into Super Tuesday. So really, it's about performing a lot better than 2016.
Well, not just performing a lot better than in 2016 when there were only 2 candidates, but it's also about picking up a substantial number of delegates. And true, while I don't speak for the campaign, I will definitely speak to just the tenacity, the problem solving, and the drive, and just the love and attention to detail that my coworkers, not only in this state, but because we're a unionized campaign, my coworkers in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, my people in California and Texas, home state, Virginia, North Carolina, Vermont, all the work and dedication that we as a union are putting into like ground effort to make sure that the people in those states understand that Bernie Sanders isn't just running to be president. He is running to be their president. He is running to be their organizer-in-chief. He is running to be their servant. And so we will do all that we can to make sure that their voices are lifted up and make sure that their cares and concerns are taken not only seriously, implemented when we reach the White House.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. You have my number now, so be in touch. Cool. Absolutely. So keep pressing that like button. Let's see if we can speak with some other people. Want to come over here? 1 second. Good. I just want to check something here. Blah, da, da.
We went back and forth with Ann Reed before together, too, over some Power Ranger talk.
Oh, did we? Okay. Hold on 1 second. Just making sure. All right, we're good. What's your name?
Dave Shiley.
You're from South Carolina?
Originally Philadelphia, but I've been living in South Carolina for about 20 years now.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So this is my second time covering South Carolina. Okay. Obviously, the black vote is very important here. It seems to me like the issues Bernie was talking about in 2016, that the Democratic establishment was very successful in making them like communism and radical or whatever. The few people I've spoken with so far here, it's definitely more mainstream. And I also think even black voters are seeing them as less pie in the sky. What's been your experience talking to voters here?
Well, I think there's a difference between older black voters and young black voters, and I think it shows in a lot of the polling too. You know, the younger vote isn't really scared of the communism, socialism tags, and especially when they realize that there's a distinction between communism and socialism, they realize that's just a fear-mongering tactic used by the establishment. So I think the fact that Nina Turner's been down here as long as she has and has held offices in South Carolina and really been getting to some of the more rural cities within South Carolina.
I'll also add Killer Mike's been down here, Dr. Cornel West, I believe Danny Glover, Phil, forget his last name. It's been a lot of top campaign African-American surrogates.
Absolutely, and they're getting that message, whereas before it was just, we're hearing talking points on MSNBC or CNN maybe, and even then it wasn't even the greatest light. So you weren't really getting the full picture, the full spectrum of what Bernie was trying to do or how he was trying to relate his message to the fact that it does affect African Americans and people of color across the country. You know, getting money out of politics isn't just about getting money out of politics. It's about getting money out of all of the ideologies that are stopping us from progressing in those issues. So climate change affects minority communities directly. I mean, you have some of the poorest communities in America being affected by these climate change events that are happening, whether it's the floods or the wildfires that are occurring. They're predominantly happening in minority communities, and they're ultimately affected. Or look at the water crisis. I mean, we still have people in Flint that don't have clean drinking water.
6 years in April.
I know you know about that particularly. I know you spent a lot of time in Flint, so I mean, that's not just happening in Flint. that's community after community that have drinking water is contaminated by corporations that don't really give a damn about the American working people. They care about the bottom line, and that's what Bernie's fighting against, you know.
And just so we could give you the exact number, we are now at 1,552 status Coup members. By my math, that's 48 members away from 1,600. We definitely have to pass 1,600 to have the funding to go to Super Tuesday. Right now, tentatively, we're going to California after South Carolina, but we need funding. This shit ain't cheap. Statuscoup.com/join. Sign up for as low as $5. We're 48 members right now from 1,600. Let's see if we can get another 48, maybe tonight. So, you know what I found interesting? The first question out of the gate, I think, says it all. The moderators put out what I think is just corporate propaganda about this booming economy. They talk about the unemployment rate is so low, and you know the economy is doing so well, because of course these are, I mean, all of these moderators make billions of dollars a year. They're very, very out of touch, and I think Bernie's answer was basically what you just said. For who? What do you think about that? Because I think it was quite the way for him to start by basically breaching that cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, I can't tell if they're trying to hurt him or if they're trying to help him. You know, like they put up these talking points for him to just take care of, and he just sweeps them up with a broom. You know, his deepest message is, look, the economy is not based on the stock market or the jobs reports. I mean, yeah, jobs are up, but we have to understand that people are getting 2 or 3 jobs to try and pay for their bills. They're trying to take care of their families, and they can't do it with one job out of college, especially when they take into calculation their income or their debt from student loans. So yeah, the economy is great for the people in the top 1% who are invested in Wall Street and who have stocks and who are trading regularly. But that's not the common American. The common American is going to work, and they're going to factories, and one by one these factories are getting shut down and they're getting their jobs sent away to foreign countries. And that's all a product of our trade deals, and Bernie knows that, and the voters know that, and that's the most important thing, and that's, I think, why he is able to turn out the population that he's able to turn out.
So to me, I was talking to someone from the campaign before, so he could only go so far. But to me, can you imagine if Bernie Sanders lied about getting arrested in South Africa on his way to meet Nelson Mandela? They would be calling the police to come take him off stage. Joe Biden, tonight, if you're watching at home, Joe Biden said not true that he wrote the crime bill. He said not true that he wrote the crime bill. I'm just being honest. I don't know if this man is a Trump-level liar, or if there's something going on cognitively. I don't say this to mock him. There's something, I mean, this is a Trump-like lie. This is like saying, you know, a beautiful summer day, it's thunderstorming. You know, like, he lied about not writing the crime bill. He also claimed to have written a bill that Amy Klobuchar wrote. They didn't challenge him at all about lying about that arrest in South Africa. Yeah. Sean King has reported that he's lied about joining in civil rights sit-ins. Yep. And I know you're a white dude, but it's just, it's such a disservice as a journalist, because black voters should know whether he is exploiting them.
100%. I realize my perspective is a little off being a white voter in America, but it's very upsetting when you see a candidate like that go on there and just effuse these lies and not get any blowback whatsoever. It's kind of upsetting, but it's also indicative of the system that we live in. You know, I mean, they want this guy to do so well here that they will literally take anything that he says without challenging him. And it's unfortunate because it really does set the movement back for people who do go through struggles, for the millions who are incarcerated unjustly, or for the people who have nonviolent offenses that are sitting in jail right now that aren't experiencing the things in life that they should be. And it's a real disservice to them. It's a disservice to the people like Sean King, like Lee Merritt, who's an outstanding attorney who fights for civil rights. All these people who are out there fighting every day for the individuals. Phil Agnew, I mean, the first time I caught wind of him was during the Trayvon Martin case. You know, cases like that don't receive any of the actual attention that they deserve because of these anecdotal stories that come up to be false overall anyway from Joe Biden and from candidates that are running for president for overall. I mean, Hillary Clinton did the same thing in 2016 when she claimed to have support from the African community just because of name recognition alone. And I mean, we're seeing a lot of the same things happening in South Carolina, but what's great is that the younger voters are getting involved. and they're seeing through a lot of the is saying, and they see that.
I think bullshit is generous. He's a fucking liar. I'm sorry. I know I'm not supposed to say that as a journalist, but he's a fucking liar. He, honestly, and I'm a white person, but, I have, well, I don't want to be the white person that says I have black friends, but I have black friends. My cameraman is black. And it's just so offensive. And I just it's unbelievable. What I think is the most offensive about it is Joe Biden says, why are you going to win here? They know me. That's what he says. They know me. Yeah, well,
they know what the media tells them, but they don't really know Joe Biden. If they took a deep look at his record, they would understand that this guy isn't really for us. I mean, the bankruptcy bill, the crime bill, vote after vote, we understand. I mean, yes, he voted for the war, but the ramifications of that vote go much deeper than just a simple vote. I mean, we had hundreds of thousands of individuals go and partake in that war that otherwise wouldn't have, because they didn't have that push to get involved in service like they did from our elected officials who took the information that they were given and made a decision. Some people made a decision to vote for that war and send people to harm's way, and some people took the information they had, realized who they were getting the information from, and thought a little bit and made the right decision. And that goes into so many different things as well. I mean, the bankruptcy bill not allowing students to file for bankruptcy when student loan is crushing them, not allowing them to invest in a home, invest in a family, invest in a life for themselves, it's an abomination to this country, and it's really hurting not just white people who go to college, but people of color that go to college across the spectrum. We have issue after issue that are taking place that affect Americans every day, whether it's free college tuition or Medicare for all. There's no reason somebody should be going bankrupt just because they can't afford to pay for their hospital bills. There's no reason why a diabetic patient shouldn't be able to afford their insulin shots. It's unheard of, and this is the only country this happens in. It's the only country we have these conversations where someone like you with independent journalism has to come up and interview individuals on the street and realize that the talking points are more than just what happens in New York and D.C., and it extends further than that. And yeah, we do have flyover states, we have southern states, but people are people, and they're being affected all over the country, and it's elected politicians that are causing these moments in our lives.
Last question. The people want to know. Where'd you get the shirt?
Oh, unfortunately, I had to resort to Amazon to get this shirt.
I'm surprised Amazon sells it.
Oh, they've got a lot of Bernie shirts, but unfortunately there aren't too many local markets for Bernie Sanders in South Carolina. So I did resort to going to that online marketplace, but they have an abundance of Bernie shirts on Amazon, regardless of what the headlines might say.
We'll allow it. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Appreciate it. So we got, let's see, what do we got here? I need people to sign up. Statuscoup.com/join. Sign up as a member for as low as $5 a month. We need more members, lickety split. So keep signing up. Let me see if I can speak with anybody else. Can I speak with anyone about what you thought of the debate? No thanks? Okay, that's fine. Hold on. Anybody want to come on live, talk about the debate? Oh. Come on. Not really.
We didn't watch the debate exactly, but I can talk about it.
Come on. There you go. What's your name?
John Kiner.
John Kiner. So you didn't see the debate, but you're in South Carolina.
All the people who were here with me tonight are people who've come from all across the country to volunteer in South Carolina for Bernie Sanders. I live in Columbia. I teach at USC.
Okay.
So I have not traveled that far.
Let's talk about that. What is some of the reaction you're getting? Because I'm hearing from people that when they go knock on doors, some Trump voters, they're like, I'm with Trump, but they are finding people that are kind of going between Biden and Bernie right now.
The only people I've ever knocked on the door who they said that they were Trump voters, it was a joke. We knocked on the door. He said, "Who is it?" We said, "We're out canvassing Bernie Sanders." He put on a hat while we were waiting. He came to the door, opened the door, and said, "Make America Great Again" on the hat. And he watched us flounder on the doorstep as he, But in any case, it was just a joke. His family sold T-shirts that He went to all the kind of political events in the state to sell T-shirts. He was a Bernie supporter. I've never met anybody who was a Trump supporter, especially in the kind of like African American community, in the Latino community, in the kind of college community that we spend our time on. So I don't know. I can't speak to Trump voters. They're entirely foreign to me.
What about other reactions you've been getting there?
Other reactions to what?
Speaking with voters, canvassing, those kind of things.
I think that like the Biden voters seem to be divided because they really like what Bernie has to say. Obviously, we all have some kind of, not maybe we all, but a lot of people have a residual affection for Joe. And that persists because he's a fun uncle in some weird way. But what Bernie talks about speaks to people. In the 5 times a week, 3 months that I've been going door to door for Bernie, I have not encountered one person in Colombia, I should say this, that was hostile to Bernie, that didn't want to talk about Bernie. I mean, Bernie is speaking to people's concerns. I spoke to somebody the other day who just spread his hands out when I was talking to him and was like, "Look at this. Look at my neighborhood. How could you say that the economy's doing well when this is what I live in?" Bernie's the only person addressing that concern. I mean, it's an obscenity that Bernie's the only person speaking that concern, but that's what we find ourselves in.
And by the way, welcome new status Coup member Anthony, getting the ball rolling here. So we are now, let's see, we are now 47 members away. 47 members away from hitting that 1,600. I'll show you that. So Colombia. You know, Bernie obviously wasn't a well-known candidate among the black community in 2016, obviously much more known now.
Right.
But Biden, honestly, I've been pointing out, I mean, he's been kind of making up a lot of things, but the media doesn't call him on it.
Making up that he was I went to the so I go to a lot of these things for various reasons, but I went to the event where when Biden lost New Hampshire so badly that he flew to Columbia to not be in New Hampshire, and he made up on the spot the story that he'd been arrested in South Africa. Never happened. This desperate attempt to connect to
Black voters.
It's shameful because it's not about policy. He's trying to like pretend he's their friend. That's not what politics is about. Politics is what you can do for people, not I want to be your fucking friend. Excuse me. I don't know if I can.
We're internet. Go ahead.
But you know, it's not about I like you. It's about how can you transform my life? I'm gonna get emotional about it. But like that's what. Well, they've all gone. But you know, that's what we're out there fighting for, to make people's everyday lives better. You know, that's why we.
And what's kind of incredible to me, it's such a disservice because I think those voters deserve to know whether he's embellishing or just making up whole cloth.
Of course. So all we have to spend our fucking time on the national media is like whether people are mean on Twitter, while meanwhile Joe Biden is lying about his goddamn record about whether he was elected or whether he's arrested in South Africa. That's fucking ridiculous. We should be mean to them. We should be mean to those fucking dipshits who are like trying to keep us from the equality that we deserve. I'm sorry. Probably should not be on camera, but we absolutely should be mean to those people. We should be mean to them because they want to stop us from achieving the equality that we deserve.
Well, I think it's interesting, speaking about, and by the way, keep on pressing the like button, keep signing up, statuscoup.com/join. We need to grow our membership. We're 47 members away from hitting 1,600. $5 a month, you can become a member. This is how we fund travel and covering the campaign. I think it's so interesting because you look, these issues they seize on, because Bernie dared say, Fidel Castro allowed people, taught them literacy. Meanwhile, nobody said a word when President Obama was hanging out with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. That was fine. Nobody says a word when Obama, Bush before him. We're fine with dictators as long as they're good for our business interests.
Absolutely.
But Bernie, just says, yeah, Castro was a dictator, but he also taught them how to read and education. It's this big thing.
What kind of universal education system do you think they have in Saudi Arabia right now? Like, what the fuck do you think is being taught to every student? I mean, I teach at the University of South Carolina. I have a lot of wonderful Saudi Arabian students who I dearly love over the years, but they are not. We are not being. We're just constantly being lied to, and one of the reasons that Bernie connects to people is that people know that they're being lied to about how we exist in the world, what America is in the world. If America supports somebody like MBS, then we're not a good force in the world.
Welcome, new member Matt. We are now 44 members away from 1,600. Keep it coming. And what I find so interesting, statuscoup.com/join, statuscoup.com/join. What I find so interesting about it, this whole notion about, people are mean on Twitter and this and that. Well, they're saying Donald Trump is the biggest gangster criminal this side of, Jimmy Hoffa, the mob boss. So wouldn't you, if Bernie Sanders supporters are such this organized menace, wouldn't you want that against Donald Trump? I mean, I'm not advocating anybody being sexist or racist or misogynist.
And they're not. I spend every goddamn day at the Bernie headquarters in Columbia. It is the most inspiring coalition of black, brown, white, trans, gay, straight people that I've ever been around in my entire life. And it's offensive to me that people who support fucking like Amy Klobuchar or whoever the fuck, try to pretend like they have a coalition that speaks to that same body of people. It's offensive. We are the people who are fighting, not to use a phrase that's been poisoned by history, but to quote Obama, we're the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones who are gonna make our future. We are the ones who are gonna go out there and transform this country for all of those groups, based on class solidarity, not. It has nothing to do with denigrating any individual identity, whether that's queer or gender-based identity. It's all about uniting to fight the people who are the fucking enemies. Michael Bloomberg, who is worth $65 million.
Who, by the way, you didn't see this part of the debate. He literally bragged about, the reason Democrats retook the House of Representatives is I gave $100 million.
If you earned $3,700 an hour from the day of the birth of Christ, you would still not be worth as much money as Michael Bloomberg is today. That is obscene. And we should oppose that with every fiber of our being, because nobody should have that much power, and certainly nobody who... Michael Bloomberg doesn't like you. Michael Bloomberg doesn't like you. Michael Bloomberg doesn't like me. Can you imagine feeling that Michael Bloomberg cares for you in any possible way? Michael Bloomberg cares for power, for himself. He's not out for us. And his only objection to Trump is his fucking aesthetic. He thinks Trump is vulgar. And Trump is vulgar, of course, but that's not Trump's problem. Trump's problem is that he's a fucking racist nightmare, goddamn fascist.
Move back a little so we can get back. 1 second. Welcome, new Status Coup member Ann. We are now 42 members away. 42 members away from 1,600. Keep pressing that like button. Keep signing up, statuscoup.com/join. So you're so passionate and energetic. So I'm just going to throw out 2 words. I'm not going to ask a question.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw out 2 words, and I'd like your thoughts.
Yeah.
Pete Buttigieg.
I'm a gay man.
No, not that you're a gay man, but okay, if he wasn't gay, your thoughts. Wait. Let's just say it's great that a gay man is running, and it's great. It's
great that I can be so repelled by a gay candidate. He's obviously a horrific figure. I mean, he is a person who's leveraging his gay identity to try to sell people on shit, and that offends me. Because what queer identity should do is make you fight for people who have less. And he's fighting for people who have everything already. And it fucking pisses me off. I fucking hate him. Sorry.
So what I find so amazing about this, because as a journalist, I just find the human psychology of lying so interesting. Biden, to tell you the truth, to be honest, in fairness to Uncle Joe, I don't know if he's lying or if there's cognitively some issue.
Right.
There's been a lot of talk about the cognitive functioning. So benefit of the doubt, maybe he's not full throttle lying, maybe it's age and something going on. Pete lies very, very casually and very, very easily. And what's troubling about it, he said tonight, the lifeblood of my campaign is small dollar donations. It took me like 30 seconds to Google. He's gotten the most Wall Street donations next to Biden.
I don't know if you saw this, but the state newspaper, which is the big newspaper here in South Carolina, endorsed him yesterday. And they said in two paragraphs, two sentence paragraphs, one 2-sentence paragraph, they used the phrase average American and everyday American in 2 sentences. It's a load of horseshit. It's selling you this vision of picket fence America. That's not about distributing that dream to other people. It's about clinging to the desperate fear that so many people have that the meager things that have been dropped by the oligarchical structure of the United States are going to be taken from them. And that's what Pete does. That's all that Pete does. It's all Pete sells. You like the fact that you can go to fucking Whole Foods and get, I shop at Food Lion. I don't know what the fuck people buy at Whole Foods, but whatever they buy at Whole Foods, whatever they get there, you can hold on to that. You're gonna be able to hold on to this bourgeois like bullshit as long as you want. I cannot overstate how much Pete is an obscenity to me. He should be fighting for something that he's not.
Welcome new Status Coup members, Ann, Patrick, Hillary. We are now 41 members away from 1,600. Keep signing up, statuscoup.com/join. As far as I can tell, we're the only people out with the people, rather than just glorifying the pundits. Last question for you.
Yes. My people are getting discontent.
Okay, last question. So, South Carolina, listen, to me, I'd love Bernie to win South Carolina. To me, if he loses by 2 to 3 points, if he loses by 5 points, fuck it, go streaking. He was down 40 at one point. If he loses narrowly, Biden doesn't get the delegates he needs. Biden's not doing so hot in Super Tuesday states, which is 3 days later. A lot of those Super Tuesday states like California are already voting. Right. So is Texas. So do you consider this like must win for Bernie or just get it as close as possible? Obviously you want him to win, but...
I've talked to people a lot, canvassing. All the people that you see over there have been canvassing constantly for the past 3 months. Bernie's gonna fucking win. And if he doesn't win this fucking state, he's gonna goddamn win the election. So who the fuck cares about South Carolina? Because we're gonna march for it, and he's gonna come close. Who cares what Joe Biden does? Joe Biden's a non-entity. Who cares? Who fucking cares? Who in this country cares about Joe Biden? Nobody. Nobody's passionate about Joe Biden. Nobody's like a Joe Biden stan or whatever the fuck people say online. Like, Bernie's gonna win, and we're gonna win. We're gonna win not only in South Carolina, we're gonna win in fucking Texas, we're gonna win in California, oh God, I'm Howard Dean. Sorry. We're going to win. I am so confident that we're going to win.
Just so, because I know a lot of the audience want to just like quit their jobs and re-register back to college to take your class because they love your they love your lecturing. So you're a professor, you said?
I'm very unbiased in my class. I work very hard to be, to try to provide an equal perspective in my class. But in my personal life, I'm fighting for people to live, and Bernie's the only answer to that.
What's your name again?
John Kynard.
Thank you, John.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it so much. So that was colorful. That was definitely colorful. You know what's funny? You ever watch Shawshank Redemption? They were playing the song from Shawshank Redemption just now. So that's wonderful. All right. Welcome, George, another new member. Statuscoup.com/join. We are now 40 members away from 1,600. As always, look We've emptied out the place. I'm going to go for a few more minutes until they kick me out. Keep signing up, statuscoup.com/join, statuscoup.com/join. Become a member for as low as $5 a month. Let me tell you what's coming up. Tomorrow morning, about 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, I believe it starts. Bernie will be doing a rally here in North Charleston, South Carolina, so we will be there. Then the rest of the days is kind of a mishmash. We got to figure it out. Bernie's going to be in North Charleston, which will be there tomorrow. Bernie's going to be in Columbia, South Carolina on Friday. We will be there. Bernie's also going to be in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I also think I'm going to make a little appearance or two at Uncle Joe Biden's rallies, because I think either if I'm lucky enough to get up to him for a question or two. Last time I tried to get up to Joe Biden for a question in Iowa, they basically body checked me out of the way. So that was interesting. But I want to go to a Joe Biden rally because I would like to interview some of his voters. I also would like to interview some of his black voters. It is in as respectful as a way as I can. Obviously, I don't want to disrespect anyone, but I bet you a lot of these black voters have no idea that Joe Biden has been lying about his arrest in South Africa, about participating in civil rights sit-ins. Today he said he never said South Carolina was his firewall. I'm pretty sure a lot of them have no idea. By the way, Bernie's campaign has to move his rally in Columbia, South Carolina, because the RSVPs are too much. So they're moving it from a smaller location to a bigger one on Friday. So we're definitely going to be there tomorrow, North Charleston. I believe it starts at 11:30 a.m. If you're not on our email list, what are you doing? Sign up, statuscoup.com. Make sure you're on our email list. We will email you when we're live. Also, don't depend on YouTube to notify you when we're live. They don't like doing that. So you got to get on our text list. We send you a text when we're live. Text COUP to 474747. That's COUP to 474747. So we could text you when we're live. We've been definitely seeing a lot of people. Hey, I just got your text, but I didn't get a YouTube notification. So that's why we want to make sure you know when we're live, when we're out here reporting. I'm also thinking about, while I'm here, we got to find out who on the ground. We'd like to go to Denmark, South Carolina. For those of you that don't know, Denmark, South Carolina has had a severe water problem for a decade. And Bernie Sanders is the only candidate that actually went to Denmark, South Carolina. He actually just walked in to somebody's house, his campaign organized it, and tried to learn about the water problem here. So we would like to cover that because obviously no one else gives a damn about the water crisis around the country, from Flint to East Chicago to, we've been all over the place covering water issues. Detroit, we've been in North Carolina. So we're going to try to go to Denmark while we're here, not the country, South Carolina, to cover the water crisis there, because everybody's talking about coronavirus, which is obviously a very, very big threat. But there's a quiet water crisis going on in this country that not a lot of people know about. So we got to educate people on the water crisis. Also, Jen and I are working on something we've been teasing for months. We're working on a big story. While I'm down here, I actually have to work on that story too, because we are closer than ever to actually publishing the damn thing. Thank God. So we look forward. Speaking of water, and the water crisis in America, we look very forward to publishing this story. Hint, hint, hint. So I ask you before I sign off, a favor. Let me see how many people are watching. We have been so far. We have not missed a state. We've been in Iowa. We've been in New Hampshire. We have been in Nevada, thanks to Jen, who filled in for me. I had the worst cold. I still kind of have a cold. Jen filled in so greatly. She's going to be out in the field a lot more over the next couple months. So we're going to tag team the campaign. It'll be me in some states, Jen in some states. If we have the funding, maybe we could send both of us to some states. So here's what I need you to do, because we got 2,000 people watching. You might think I'm a used car salesman at this point, but we really come to you. I take my glasses off for this. We're coming to you to say, is actual, independent, real, progressive, we don't pretend to be neutral robots here, progressive journalism worth it to you? If it is, there's a very simple way for us to keep doing this. Go to statuscoup.com/join right now. Sign up for as low as $5 a month. If you don't have $5 a month, we get it, no problem. We don't want to make your situation any worse. If you have $5 a month, we have other plans too, $10 a month, $20 a month. You could do annually at $179. This is how we fund this reporting. There's a lot that goes into this, from the flights to the hotels to the rent-a-cars to the food. We do need to buy a new camera, so that's going to cost some money. And after South Carolina, at the moment, we're thinking of going to California. We're talking cross-country flights here. We're thinking even of maybe trying to hit Texas too. We're trying to do a lot, but we don't have the full resources to get it done. So if you like what you're seeing, if you like real reporting in the trenches, sign up, statuscoup.com/join. Support us for as low as $5 a month. We just got another member. Welcome to the party, new Status Coup member. Let me get your name right. Welcome, Millard. Just signed up. Welcome, Millard. Love you. We are now 39 members away from hitting that 1,600. We're going. 39 members away from hitting that 1,600. So definitely sign up before you go to sleep tonight if you can. And honestly, my closing thoughts, I don't really think anything changed, to be honest with you, at this debate. I'm sure CNN and MSNBC is besides themselves at this point. I'm sure they're saying Bernie Sanders, it was the Titanic and he went down. That's just not what I saw. I saw Bernie Sanders stick to his guns. I thought his answer on the fact that this is not a booming economy, it's a Gilded Age economy, was terrific. I loved his answer saying, can anybody on this stage be honest that the United States has been going into other countries and toppling regimes? I think he was honest. He was honest about his gun record, which I think is good. I think he said, listen, I had some bad votes. I own it. Rather than Biden pretending that the crime bill was terrific and all of these people trying to paper over their terrible votes, he said, it was a bad vote. I own it. Move on. I think Bloomberg continued to be a disaster. I mean, he could spend $60 billion. Mike Bloomberg is not going to become the Democratic nominee unless he literally buys off the entire Democratic apparatus. I'm talking about Tom Perez. I'm talking about all the superdelegates. I am talking about all the think tanks, all the media. That's the only way he could become the Democratic nominee, is if he buys it off. And frankly, from the sounds of that debate hall, it sounded to me like there were some people in the stands that might have been getting paid, because I don't know who the hell was cheering every time Michael Bloomberg spoke. Didn't sound like organic praise to me. Any thoughts, Jamal, about tonight's event?
Oh, yeah, a lot was revealed. I thought that a lot was revealed tonight about, just the state of Bernie Sanders' campaign. It has momentum that I don't think any other candidate can match. So it's very, very cool to see, basically another revolution taking place in America. I think a lot just needs to be discussed. We need to talk more about policy instead of these guys' track records, because to be honest, it's about moving forward and what they're actually going to do for the American people moving forward. We can go back and forth about their past all live long day. All these guys are old, so we really need to speak about the future, and I hope to hear more about policy and what Bernie plans to do with the tax money that he's going to collect from Wall Street. So yeah, those are my final thoughts.
Stay there for a second. And by the way, welcome new Status Coup member Bruno and new Status Coup member Giancarlo. Heyo. We are now, Jen, give me the number when you can. I'd like to ask you, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but, I just find it outrageous that Joe Biden was not asked about lying about his arrest in South Africa. He's lied about participating in civil rights sit-ins. And honestly, black voters, even if they say, all right, well, we don't like that, but, we're going to stick with him, they deserve to know that. But none of the journalists on that stage dare to challenge him.
Yeah, I think it's a very offensive point to consider that Joe Biden is getting away with these lies and that nobody's really challenging him. It's kind of like, how much do the black voters really matter to not just Joe Biden, but to the other Democratic candidates aside from Bernie Sanders? You know, because like he's exploiting them, he's using them for, you know, just to boost his numbers because they're not looking very good right now, and that seems to be his only crutch is to use an entire population of people, which, you know, really, really, really and truly, he has no relationship with. When I think of a good politician, I don't think of Joe Biden. He consistently relies on Obama and his record with Obama, but it's like, those are really Obama's accomplishments. You were just a VP at the time, you know? So there's just a lot to look into it. But I just find it completely offensive that the mainstream media didn't challenge him on it, and that, you know, it hasn't affected him yet in his campaign. But I do think that it will come up later on, you know, his issue with black voters and his lies for apartheid and sitting in civil rights movements. I've never heard of Joe Biden being a part of any civil rights anything until he mentioned it for this campaign. So how true can it be?
That's it, folks. I want to read off a couple more. We've been getting them hot and heavy these last few minutes. So welcome new Status Coup member Momo. Love that name. Thanks for joining, Momo. Love you. New Status Coup member Matthew. So Jen, I believe we are now 37 members away. That's 37 members away from 1,600. And just to give you an idea how far we've come, before we went to Iowa, I think we were at like less than 1,200 paid members. We've added over 400 new members in like 3 weeks. So it says a lot about what happens when you're in the field, in the trenches, in Iowa, in New Hampshire. We had a lot of fun in New Hampshire. Go to the videotape, Pete Buttigieg's campaign, basically attacking my cameraman, harassing me. We had some fun at the Joe Biden events, covering Bernie, actually speaking with Bernie supporters. I think that's the biggest journalistic crime that's gone on here. MSNBC is just realizing, Joy Reid is just realizing that there's a lot of upset, economically angry, economically desperate people out there. She had an epiphany on Saturday, that segment. I didn't just realize it because I've been out traveling across the country for the last 5 years, and I haven't spoken to the pundits. I don't run to pundits to get my truth. I don't run to experts to learn what the news is, to learn what's the economy really like out in America. I don't run to think tank people. I don't run to corporate journalists and analysts and strategists. I don't give the microphone to those people because that's not where you get facts. That's not where you get truth. That is where you get, say it with me, propaganda. The first go-to places I go, and Jamal could back me up, when I go anywhere, particularly on the campaign, is volunteers, is activists, is organizers, is local organizers, because that's where you find out where the bodies are buried. That's where you find out where the truth is, and that's where you break news. So that's what we do here. If you're new to Status Coup, subscribe. Press the subscribe button. I think we're close to 76,000 YouTube subscribers, which is awesome. Welcome new member Tony. Heyo. So we are now, I think, 35 members away from 1,600. We got to close up because we're keeping these good people here. So tonight, before you go to bed, please sign up, statuscoup.com/join. We want to pass 1,600, preferably by tomorrow, because let me tell you, it's not just Super Tuesday, by the way, that we need funding for. After Super Tuesday, there's a lot of critical states that still are yet to go. You got Michigan, critical state. New York has the second most delegates. The second most delegates after California is New York. Granted, in honesty, I don't need too much funding for New York because we both live there. But the point is, you got Michigan. We have other states that are going to be going all the way through April and May. And most importantly, we need funding because Bernie Sanders, I'm not getting ahead of myself, but Bernie Sanders has a realistic chance unless Michael Bloomberg buys it, unless the Democratic Party is suicidal enough to steal it from him in Milwaukee. during the convention, there's a realistic chance that Bernie Sanders will be the nominee. And I know for sure I don't want to rely on CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Daily Beast, BuzzFeed, Associated Press, and all the usual corporate suspects to cover that. And frankly, I don't think there's a lot of independent media in the trenches doing the job that needs to be done. So please, 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 if you got the money, statuscoup.com/join, sign up for as low as a overpriced cup of coffee at Starbucks, $5 a month. Thank you for watching. We're finishing we're 35 members away. So I hope when I sign off, you'll keep it coming, statuscoup.com/join. By the way, if I didn't mention, you're not just supporting us as a member. You get great bonus content, behind-the-scenes video. We got our monthly members call we're going to do probably next week. So we're going to owe you 2 in the month of March because we didn't do one in February. It's kind of hard for me to do it while I'm reporting here. But we got our monthly members call. It's a video call. It's not through YouTube. A lot of fun. I think last time we had 100 people. We want to grow that. It's a lot of fun. Questions, comments, concerns. We laugh. We cry. It's great. Statuscoup.com/join. We will see you tomorrow morning. Put it in your calendar. The Bernie rally starts at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll be there. Thank you for watching. Peace out.